the first cut, before the sawdust flies. There's a story behind every log, and the machines built to master it. This is Giant Redwood, where timber meets technology and every frame is built with power. Hey there, my friend. How's your day going? All good at your end? Whether you're watching from the garage, the job site, or just chilling on your couch, I'm really glad you're here. At Giant Redwood, we've got saws roaring, logs flying, machines grinding day and night. But the real reason we do this, it's for folks like you who actually enjoy seeing how things are built, how wood gets transformed, and how real work gets done. Now, I'm curious, what kind of videos do you enjoy most on this channel? Chainsaws, skidders in the mud, giant sawmills, wood crushers turning junk into dust? Drop a comment below and tell me what makes you stop scrolling. I read everything, and it helps us build the next video just for you. Alright, ready to dive in? Let's get it started. Alright, time to get into it. The chainsaws have done their job, the logs are in, and now the real transformation begins. This is where raw timber meets its next challenge, the sawmill. Not just one big blade, but an entire system built to slice, scan, measure, and maximize. The process starts with intake. Each log is lifted onto a heavy-duty conveyor and rolled into position. Laser scanners or 3D cameras immediately begin reading its shape, length, diameter, curve, knots. This isn't guesswork, it's data-driven decision-making. The system calculates the optimal cutting pattern to reduce waste and boost value. Should it be sliced thick for beams, thin for planks, or split into multiple smaller boards? Next, hydraulic arms grab the log tight. Steel rollers feed it forward, and the blades start to spin. Talking about handheld saws, these are industrial cutting units. Band saws for deep, flexible cuts, circular saws for high-speed ripping, multi-rip saws that cut multiple boards at once, and gang saws that can slice a whole log into perfect strips in seconds. The first contact is violent but clean. A thick slab peels off, then another. Bit by bit, the tree's natural shape disappears, replaced by sharp corners and smooth grain. And as each board comes off, the system doesn't stop. Sensors continue tracking the cut quality, looking for warps, splits, or inconsistencies. Now let's talk about what happens after the cut. Each board rides a sorting line where it's scanned for moisture, evaluated for defects, graded for strength and appearance. High-grade lumber goes one way, toward furniture, flooring, cabinets. Mid-grade goes to framing, decks and crates. Low-grade, still useful, often for pallets, panel boards, or chipped into fuel. Nothing goes to waste. The bark and side cuts are collected and moved to chippers or biomass systems. Dust is sucked into silos for MDF or pellet production. A modern mill reuses everything. But machines still need people. Experienced sawmill operators listen for blade pitch, watch feed rates, and react instantly if something's off. They sharpen blades, realign rollers, spot tension in the grain before it tears a board apart. Because no matter how smart the system is, it's the human behind the panel who keeps it alive. Let's take a deeper look at the blades themselves. They're not just sharp, they're engineered, hardened steel, custom tooth patterns for hardwood versus softwood, coolant systems to reduce heat. Some even have auto-tensioning to keep the blade straight at full RPM. And yes, they wear out. That's why blade maintenance is a full-time job in every mill. There's a sharpening room with grinders, templates, and gauges, because one dull tooth can ruin an entire batch. What about production speed? A well-run mill can process hundreds of logs per day. Depending on size and grade, some large-scale operations hit 100,000 board feet daily, and every board has a destination. Export, construction, custom orders, each tagged, scanned, and stacked like clockwork. But it's not all numbers. There's something poetic about watching a tree cut from a mountain slope become a polished plank headed for someone's home, workshop, or project. From nature to structure, from rough to refined, this is the power of the sawmill. It's more than cutting wood, it's turning potential into purpose. And whether you're behind the console, stacking finished boards, or just admiring from the sidelines, there's no denying the precision and pride in every step. So next time you see a plank of wood smooth, clean, straight, remember it wasn't always that way. It started as a crooked log, and somewhere a sawmill turned it into something useful. The operator fires up the diesel engine. Thick black smoke punches into the cold mountain air. The tires, sometimes over 6 feet tall, grip into the slope like claws. Every move is calculated. Every turn is a commitment. There's no margin for error on these hills. A slight misjudgment, the rear swings too wide, the weight shifts, the machine could tip. But that's where the operator's skill comes in. These folks know every bump, every root, every soft patch of soil. They've learned to feel the mountain. As the skidder reaches a felled log, the grapple arm swings into place. Steel jaws clamp down, tight. With a hiss of hydraulics, the log is lifted just enough to clear the ground. Now, the real work begins, the descent. 1 log is manageable, 2 is risky, 3 or more, that's a test of both man and machine. Going downhill with tons of timber pulling from behind is like walking a tightrope with someone yanking your coat. That's why speed is low, engine braking is high, and the operator's eyes never leave the terrain.
Sudah sangkul guys.
If the load catches on a rock, momentum shifts instantly. Too much bounce and the rear axle could lift. Too fast and the log could slide sideways and flip the machine. The mountain doesn't care about your deadline. It demands respect. But when done right, when the balance is perfect, the grip holds and the engine growls through, it's a beautiful sight. A trail opens behind the skidder. Mud churns, steam rises off the engine block, and the logs, heavy, stubborn, massive, follow obedient. Sometimes chains are used, wrapped around the logs and hooked to the rear. Sometimes a cable winch helps reposition loads stuck in crevices. Other times, terrain is too narrow. Then comes a different technique, yo-yoing, using a second machine from below to help guide or pull. In extreme cases, aerial cable logging is used, where pulleys suspended between trees lift logs off the slope entirely. But the skidder, it's still the workhorse, the go-to machine for rough-rooted real terrain. Now let's talk about what it takes to drive one of these monsters. Not just a license, not just muscle, it takes intuition. You have to read the ground like a map. Anticipate what the log will do before you feel it pull. Veteran drivers say they can feel the machine torque through the seat. Every creak, every slip, every second matters. They know when to give throttle and when to let gravity work. They know how to correct a side drift with just a tap of the tire. They know when to say, not this way, and back out to try another. Because pride is one thing, but getting home safe is the goal. Once the load reaches level ground, it's dropped near a staging site. There, loaders or trucks will take over, transporting the timber to the mill. Make no mistake, without the skidder, nothing moves. Every board in your house, every post beam and floor plank, at some point it was just a tree on a slope, and someone had to go up there and get it. And that someone relied on this machine. So next time you see a muddy, dented, fire-breathing skidder grinding down a hillside hauling 3 trees behind it, know that you're watching something powerful, something essential. Not just horsepower, not just hydraulics, but a partnership between operator and mountain, earned every single day. hear it before you see it, that piercing growl through the trees. It's not a warning, it's a signal the work has begun. The chainsaw is one of the most iconic tools in the world of timber. Compact, loud, aggressive, but precise in the hands of the right person. At first glance, it looks simple. A two-stroke engine, a steel bar, and a spinning chain lined with sharp teeth. But when you fire it up, you realize this isn't just a tool, it's a responsibility. Let's break it down. The engine, fueled by a gasoline-oil mix, powers the chain to speeds over 60 feet per second. Each tooth bites into the wood, not to rip, but to shave. Clean, fast, controlled. But before you make the first cut, preparation is everything. Chain tension, not too tight, not too loose. Bar oil level, lubrication prevents heat and wear. Brake system, one click and the chain should lock instantly. Safety gear, helmet, chaps, gloves, steel toe boots, no exceptions. The real pros know safety isn't a checklist, it's a mindset. Now watch as the operator approaches the tree. Feet wide, hands firm, he checks the fall direction, he studies the lean, the wind, the escape route. Then one notch, one back cut, one breath, and the tree falls exactly where it's supposed to. No panic, no guesswork, just skill, confidence, and a machine that does exactly what it was built to do. But the chainsaw isn't just for felling, it's used for limbing, bucking, notching, carving. You'll see it clearing trails, cutting firewood, even rescuing vehicles stuck in storm-felled timber. In emergency zones, firefighters use it to cut fire breaks. In the wilderness, it builds shelters. In the hands of an artist, it sculpts. It's not the saw, it's the hand that holds it. That's why maintenance matters. A dull chain kicks back. A clogged air filter chokes power. A cracked bar can twist mid-cut. So every pro sharpens, cleans, inspects. Because when you're deep in the forest, failure isn't an option. Let's not forget the danger zone, the tip of the bar. This is the kickback point. If it hits something solid, the saw can launch back toward the operator. That's why modern saws include chain brakes, low kickback chains, and inertia protection, but it's still up to the user. When used right, the chainsaw is a beautiful thing to watch. It hums through hardwood. It glides across grain, every cut deliberate, every move efficient. And the result, perfectly measured logs, ready for the mill, ready for the market, or ready for firewood, depending on what the land gives you. This is where it all starts. Before the loaders, the sawmills, the forklifts. Before the warehouses and the stacks, there was the saw, and someone brave enough to start the first cut.
Go, go, go. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.